In our culture, sometimes it seems like it's all about fame. Everybody's trying to be famous, and sometimes I can convince myself that if I were just famous, I don't know, I could do more for God, I could accomplish more. It would be much, much better if I were famous, because sometimes it really seems like God primarily works through famous people, famous pastors, famous Christians, famous writers. But the reality is, God's not limited by our fame or the lack thereof. In Colossians 1, verse 7, he's talking to the church at Philippi, which is a church big enough to get a letter from Paul. And he says, you learned it, talking about the gospel, you learned it from Epaphras, our dear fellow servant, who is a faithful minister of Christ on our behalf. How many of you honestly had heard of Epaphras before I just read that to you? He's not famous, but he was faithful. And like we said yesterday, God made him fruitful. And that's what matters. And that's today's Jumpstart.